Welcome, kindred spirits. I'm coming to you from my base camp. I'm getting ready to travel next week, and I thought that I would share with you how I pack. And without further ado, let's go for it. This is my closet. I'm going to open it up here. All the clothes, everything that you see in here, with these three totes up here are not clothes, first of all. All my clothes are contained, actually most of them are contained in this pack that hangs right on my closet rack. How about that? That's pretty cool, huh? I love this. Not only helps me keep my clothes in check about how many clothes I have, also makes it easy to take it out to my van and just hook it up in my closet and work from it from there. So that was pretty quick. I could sign off now, I guess. Although I give you a little background, I thought I'd give you a little background on how I came to that point. So as I said, that's all the clothes that I have. How I ended up here is that about 4.5 years ago, my husband died of 30 years, and that's a whole nother story for another day. But for 20 years, my husband and I owned a closet design company from the mid-90s to the mid-2000s. I'm sorry, from the mid-80s to the 2000s. 20 years. And we designed closet systems, and it was our first business. We started it from a thought in our head, ended up with a staff of 5, a manager, an operations manager, a warehouse. We had a couple of warehouse people prepping the work. We had a couple of trucks, a few installers. All in all, I think 5 or 6 people, and then plus my husband and myself. Raised our kids on that business, using that, having that business. Learned a lot, made pretty much every mistake, and still made it through, I'm happy to say. And so, by nature, I really loved having that company because I am detail oriented. I love to make systems. I love to organize and things like that. So I jumped into this business, and it was great for many, many years until it wasn't, just because my interest expanded. It didn't change, it expanded. So skip a bunch of years until 4.5 years ago, and I realized one day that I was able to pay for everything. I was very proud of myself that between my business I was able to pay for the storage of my stuff every month. And in the beginning of the month, or at the end of the month, I would be really, really just basically relief and gratitude that I was able to pay for all my financial responsibilities, followed closely by angst and a heaviness that I had to start again and just keep that knowing that I was going to be able to meet those financial responsibilities by the end of the month, the next month. One day, I had a thought that basically said, Diane, you are working so hard just to pay for space to store your stuff. And it was true. It was truth. And I knew that I had to do something. And so I started doing it. And I'm going to say over that 4.5 years, if I kind of averaged everything out, I probably spent about 4 hours a day either thinking about doing something to downsize. And it was very, very hard facing it. It was very, very hard starting it. How I started, though, was to just say very kindly to myself that I only have to work for 15 minutes. If I just did 15 minutes, then that's enough. And so that's how I pretty much, on the days that I was dealing with downsizing and sorting through my accumulated 64 years of stuff, 15 minutes a day. And sometimes I was able to spend more just because I got into it and I lost track of time and things like that. But I would say that it all started with 15 minutes a day. By 2020, after I bought my van and I realized that I really, really, really wanted to travel, I decided that I was really moving in the right direction, because that was not in my mind when I thought about downsizing. It was more of a remembering of, in my 20s, before I met my husband, that I actually had a van and I was traveling in it. And that just sort of faded away over time, just because a marriage, children, all the life that comes along with that, all wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But when I was left with this, I want to say this blank space to fill, because I didn't have any close relationship. Of course, I have my children and I love my children, but I'm talking in the day-to-day living with someone, that I realized that I wanted to travel. I remembered that I wanted to travel. That was the big thing, because in the beginning I didn't even, I could tell you what I liked. Everything that I said that would be something that had something to do with my kids or my husband. And I had a full, very lovely life with friends and everything else. So it wasn't that they took up all my time. It was by choice. I loved that life. I loved it all. And now it was different. And I could either line up with it or not. And I chose to line up with it. And with my husband, the thought that turned it around for me was that on a day that I was really thinking about him and missing him a lot, I had this thought of, Diane, the thought was, you have had over 30 years of this wonderful relationship, and you're mourning the loss of it, and that's fine. But what about that you actually had the opportunity at all to have that relationship? Like, instead of mourning the hole that it was in my life, to actually be grateful that I actually was able to be a part of a relationship that was like that. So I want to say that turned things around in me, and also gave me a little boost as far as downsizing went. And woo, I thought I was past that, but I guess I'm not, and that's okay. So I'm downsizing. I run into pockets of things that I just can't face, or I can't deal with, or I'm not ready to go look for it, and somehow it would come around that one day I would actually feel like tackling that area. And I must have gone through all the closets in my house many times, because I did start running an Airbnb in my house, so I had to clear out all those closets first of all. But I was going through closets over this 4.5-year period, going through closets again and again, and a lot of things kept making the cut. And then one day I realized I picked up something, and I'm just going to say, I'm just going to pick something random here. This is just this is actually from the house that I'm living at now. I'm just borrowing it. It's a coaster. But anyway, I'm pretending that this is a sentimental thing, or just something that I had in a closet, and I would pick it up and look at it, and I realized that I hadn't thought 1 second about that item since the last time that I was sorting through things. It made the cut. I kept it. After that, it was out of my mind, off my radar, didn't think about it at all. And that really caused a pause for me. And I'm going to say probably without thinking, I grabbed my camera and I took a picture of it and had this immediate flood of relief that and also a certainty that I could let this item go in whichever way that I was getting rid of it. Donation, gifting it, selling it, however, all the different ways that, what downsizing entails. So things moved pretty quickly after that. And by December of 2020, I had sold my house, and I was able to walk away from all of it, except for a very compact amount of stuff. One was enough to fill. I knew that I probably would not be on the road forever. The travel bug is in me, and traveling in a van, in a DIY van, served my creative needs to create it, but also I did it to travel and to be able to afford travel for myself. I found out early on that I really would need a home base, and I just, as I was packing, I just kind of had this intention in mind that I was only going to take enough to fill one room. If I came off the road and went into a tiny house, then I would be able to I wouldn't have to buy anything because I would have all my little super treasures with me. And so that's how I packed. So all I have left is enough to fill this room, the tote boxes that these things go in, of course, and a couple of other keepsake totes, and then what's in my van, and that's it. And it is such a wonderful feeling that I can't describe. Hoping I can find the words at some point to share with you, but I feel infinite possibilities ahead of me, and I love that when I go to do anything, it's easy to do it. It's easy to pack. I just pull that out, take it out, put it in my van, and I'm ready to go. What do I do with my time? A big chunk of it is invested in learning how to do, make these videos for you, because I feel very strongly that I'm supposed to be making myself more visible to those I am supposed to serve. And at this point in my life, it's via YouTube. In other parts of my life, it was my retail shop. I'm just following what life is putting in front of me, choices that life is putting in front of me, for the most part. in that regard of being in service and sharing. That is my purpose, is sharing and being a space and holding a space for kindred spirits like you. I'm also available to help family and friends when they need me. I get to outfit this van. That is a lot of fun, especially coming off of 20 years of the closet system. I'm not a stranger to tool belts. I love my tools, and this gives me something to get them out for, a purpose to get them out for. So that's really fun. And I'm also on the lookout for little daily miracles, little nature's wisdom type of things, of which I hope that I can maybe put them on Instagram or something like that. But I'm just out here trying to connect, out here on YouTube, I should say, and also within my travels, connecting to learn, to share, to find kindred spirits, to have kindred spirits find me. I am trying to let life live me. And that seems like a pretty fitting place to stop for today. So I want to thank you for hanging in there. I will put the link, I think this is what I'm supposed to do, put the link to that packing cube, hanging packing cube that I have. That'll be down in the description, or down in the information underneath this video. Subscribe if you want to be notified of new videos that I upload, and also a thumbs up. I've heard that's pretty important too. So I appreciate you, and I just want to leave you with this. We're always together, and sometimes we meet.